Hello everybody, my name's Rebecca and welcome back to my bookish travels. Today I am going to be sharing my 2021 BookTube awards. So these are probably what you're used to seeing in favorites videos, but I decided that I would kind of spice it up a little bit, have a little bit of fun, and share with you awards that I would present for my top reads or listens of 2021. The first one on the list is the most shocking true crime listen, and this goes to The Halifax Slasher. And this is a true crime that I had never heard of before, and it's something that both my mom and I listened to together, and it shocked both of us. It creeped both of us out. We definitely found that if we had to choose kind of the top tier true crime listen, this was the one for us. I highly recommend, if you guys have Audible, feel free to go and check out this listen. I definitely recommend it if you're into true crime, and I definitely think you might find it just as shocking as I did. The next is the best debut novel, and this goes to Given by Nandi Taylor. I loved the writing, the characters, the storytelling. I loved the world this author created. It was so beautiful, so amazing. There were so many different things going on. I absolutely loved this. I will definitely be reading more by this author if she continues to write either a new story or if she continues in this world that she has created. But if you guys are looking for a top-notch debut novel, definitely go get your hands on this. The next is the Unputdownable Read, and that goes to The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane by Julia Noble. I love this cover. I loved this book. I am so thankful that a friend of mine gifted it to me last year. Well, I guess the year before, for Christmas, and I have the second one in the series to still read. This one was so well done. If I had to put it down, it was because I had to put it down, not because I wanted to put it down. It was definitely really well done. It's middle grade, and if you guys love mysteries and really well done middle grade books, definitely give this one a shot. Next is Best Fantasy, and this goes to Hard Magic. I loved listening to this book, and I loved getting to see a little bit of a steampunk, magical, alternate history. It was so well done. It was so well created. It didn't feel rushed. It was very well spread out. I definitely want to read more in this series in the future, and I definitely recommend, if you guys love having an alternate history that involves magic and fantasy, definitely give this one a listen. Next is the most helpful financial read, or in this case, listen, because I listened to it, and that is Debt Free Forever by Gail Vox Oxlade, and I really enjoyed listening to this. Now, yes, I will state that I am not in debt. I have at times had bills that have taken a few paychecks to be able to pay off, but for the most part, I've never actually been in a situation where I've needed assistance with debt repayment or trying to resolve that. This one was such an eye-opener because I think for somebody who hasn't gone through that, or somebody who is not wanting to go through that, listening to this book was so helpful because there were a lot of tips given for managing your finances. As well, she did go through ways to be able to help you to get out of debt. And I think that it was just a non-judgmental read or listen. For me, though, I will definitely tell you guys that what I found quite interesting is the author is no holds barred. So it is read by the author, but there's one thing that I found quite interesting. So she definitely calls out her readers in the book numerous times. She literally has times where she will say, if you are not wanting to get with this program, then stop wasting your time and stop reading this book, because you can continue having this issue and all of these other things because you're not wanting to try to actually change it. This is not something that's going to automatically change. You have to put in the effort for it. So if you're not going to do that, just stop here. You're wasting your time. And I was shocked. The first time she did that, I was like, did she really just do that? But you know what? I feel like if you get into a situation with financials, you kind of have to have a, you're going to hate me, but you're going to love me kind of mood in a way that you create. And she definitely did a really good job with that. But highly recommend, if you guys are looking for something to either provide help with getting out of debt or perhaps to get better assistance with how you view your finances, I definitely recommend this read. Is the top manga series read last year, and that would be Black Panther and Sweet 16. Guys, this series was so good. I didn't even know who I wanted. There is a love triangle, obviously. It is shoujo, guys. Love triangles is like part of the typical shoujo romance. I didn't know who I wanted her to end up with in the love triangle. And then I found out that the author also did not know till the end who she needed to be with. And I loved that about this series. It is one where like you definitely don't pick sides. You're feeling just as conflicted as the main character. It was so good and it was so unique. And I honestly feel like this series was one that I had so much fun reading. And if you guys have read it, what did you think? Next is a unique take on a retelling, and that goes to The Beast Within, A Tale of Beauty's Prince. And this is by Serena Valentino. Guys, after finishing the first one, I was very leery about reading another one. I'm like, if I don't like this, I am just going to DNF the rest of the series. This was such a unique retelling. I haven't read one like this in a long time, and it was so good. My word, I highly recommend it. If you guys only read the first book in the Villain series by Serena Valentino, push through, read this one, and come back and tell me what you think. Next is the scary yet inspiring read, and that goes to Coraline by Neil Gaiman. If you guys have not read this book and you've just watched the movie, then I definitely say go and read the book as well. I actually had watched the movie quite a few years ago, and since then I was interested in reading the book when I found out it was based off of a book, and I just got around to reading it a couple of months ago, and this was so good. It definitely, I found, at times is scary. I don't do well with scary reads, but every now and then I am in the mood for that type of a read. With this one though, I also found it very inspiring and uplifting. Just when you're going through something in your life and there's a book that all of a sudden kind of connects with that, you're like, this is the best experience ever. That is how I felt reading this book, because there were certain things going on in my life with work that I just had no control over, and I was like, what do I do? And while reading this, it's kind of the same situation with Coraline, and it's just so well done. The art style is beautiful, and the actual writing is stunning. Finding out that he started it for his oldest daughter, but he didn't finish it until it was probably closer to his younger daughter's reading age. So he says that he started it for his one daughter and finished it for his other. I think that was really cute. I really enjoyed getting to have a little bit more information with this anniversary edition, with the opening being from him discussing the writing. He started it in England and then finished it in America, and it just everything was just kind of being like, this book is one that was written when it was the time to write it, and I feel like it led to when the time is right to read it. So scary yet inspiring. If you haven't spent the time reading Coraline, I'm sorry, but you are missing out. I feel like you are greatly missing out because I feel like every person should read Coraline. Next, I have my top Netflix adaptation. So this one is specifically going to a book where I have either watched the movie or the TV series, and I've read the book as well. For this one, I am giving it to The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. I so loved this read. I had watched the first season of Bridgerton before I read this, and I really loved the TV show. I loved that first season. It was so well done. It was so immersive. Definitely is making me feel like I am totally born in the wrong generation. But then I read the book, and then I fell in love with the book. And that is why this is getting this award. Next is the best recommendation, and this goes to Nameless by Dean Koontz. And this was actually recommended as an Audible Editor's Extra earlier in the year of 2021. And I was really on the fence. This was the first one where I was like, I don't know if I want to read this. I don't know if this is, a read for me. And my mom and I ended up listening to it. I absolutely loved it. We couldn't stop talking about it for days. And then we ended up getting season 2, which it's only the 2 books. Well, it's actually only the 2 seasons. I believe there's 5 books to each book. Guys, so amazing. This was by far nothing else equated to this in anything that I had been recommended to read or to listen to during the year. This was just the top one for me, and also very excited. A bit ago they ended up announcing that they're going to be producing this as a TV show. I'm really hopeful that they don't wreck it, but I'm so excited. I have such high hopes for it. It's definitely not an easy listen. I will definitely recommend trigger warning for a vast number of reasons, but it was such a good book. It was so well written. It was so well thought out. I couldn't see the series going anywhere rather than the way that the author had it written. Next is the best reread of the year, and this goes to The Goose Girl by Shannon Hale. This was a full cast narration on Audible. I was not expecting that, and I just loved listening to it. So The Goose Girl is one that I have read numerous times, and it's probably my favorite retelling. My sister's is Beauty and the Beast. I guess mine is The Goose Girl, and I just really enjoyed this full cast audio version of it. So basically anything else that I reread during the year just didn't equate to this, because it just felt like I was getting to be surrounded by each of these characters because it was a full cast narration. Okay, we are back with the battery recharged because my phone died. Next is my most immersive listen, and this one I am giving to The Sandman Act 1. So Audible has produced 2 acts in this series. I don't know if it is going to be the full series in those 2 acts or if there's going to be further or not. I'm not sure. I've never actually read the comics for The Sandman by Neil Gaiman, but this audio series was so amazing. I feel like words fail me. They had background noise and sound effects, and they had a full cast of characters, and it just was very well done. I was quite surprised and very excited as well, because there were just so many different things happening, and I'm kind of excited to see where they go in Act 2. Maybe I'll use a credit this year and purchase that, but it was very well done, very immersive, and definitely making me quite excited for the Netflix TV show. Is top of a new series, Excitement, and this one goes to The Case of the Missing Marquess. And this one was another one I listened to. It's the first book in the Enola Holmes series, and I'm so excited to see where the rest of this series leads. It is so well done. I absolutely love it. I think that the author's done a really good job in creating this world that is kind of piggybacking off of another one that was done. Enola Holmes is the younger sister of Sherlock and Mycroft Holmes, and I just love it. This one is definitely the top one for new series that I started in the year, and I cannot wait to see where it goes. Obviously, best fictional story set in Canada goes to The Stand-In by Lily Chu. This one was so well done. I am so happy I read it. I ended up takes place in Toronto. I love that we do have some Asian culture that is brought into it as well, somewhat. And I just really loved the author's voice for her narration and how she created her characters. So I ended up listening to this through Audible. The physical book is not being published until later this year. And I really enjoyed the narration from Philippa Soo. I thought it was absolutely amazing. And this was by far the best book that I read where the setting was taking place in Toronto that I have read in a long time. I just don't read enough books where the series takes place, or the book, I guess I should say, takes place in Canada. And I definitely want to get into more because it totally made me fangirl and be really excited to read something that was taking place in Canada, because I don't feel like we end up in enough novels for the setting or for a destination to visit. So I really love that about this one. Next is the most helpful self-improvement listen, and this goes to Peak Performance. If you guys have not heard of this book, do not fear. I highly recommend try listening to it. It basically discusses a lot of things that will help you to kind of look at how you perform and how you can perform at your peak on a regular basis, and different things that kind of encourage that or take away from you being able to be the peak performer that you are. And I loved this book. I found it so amazing, so helpful, and I can't stop recommending it enough to anybody who asks me about a book that would be good for self-improvement or help with, burnout or performance. This is the one that I normally am telling people, go and check it out. Is Best in Narration by the author, and that would be Canada by Mike Myers. So this was another book that Audible provided as an editor's extra, and I will definitely say I much prefer listening to autobiographies or biographies if they are read by the person they are about. There's just a different way that the story is told, and I understand it's their life, but there's so much more inflection that goes into it when they're the ones reading it rather than just reading the story yourself. There's their voice, the inflection with how they say it, or actually with how they tell that story of what took place. There's just such a difference to it. And for that is why I highly recommend, if you're going to want to read this book, get the Audible version of it or I think it's Recorded Books that it's through, but definitely get the one where Mike Myers is narrating it. It just puts a different level on this novel. Last but not least, my most thrilling thriller, I have The Girl Before, and this is by J.P. Delaney, and this is more of like a psychological thriller than just a straight up thriller. There's so much going on in this series. The writing is really brilliant in a way because there's the repetitiveness with certain things, and there's so much emphasis put on different things that the author wants you to focus on, and there are so many things that the author reveals that you're not even expecting to even be part of the story There was just so many different things that took place in this book that I think this was my top thriller. As I put it, my most thrilling thriller of the year went to this one. And if you guys haven't read it, definitely give it a shot, see if you like it, see what you think about it, and let me know. And if you've already read it, did you like it? Did you hate it? What was your take on the story? Because my mind, even now, there's so many different things taking place thinking about it. And I feel like when you read books that are thrillers, the ones that kind of stick with you afterwards are the ones where you're like, that was so brilliantly written. That is everything, guys. Those are my BookTube awards from the year of 2021. If you guys had to do awards for the books you read, what would end up being your choices and how would you label them? And if you've already done a favorites video or you already know what you would do, please share down below one book that you read that you would give an award to and what the book is and what the award would be. I would love to hear that from you guys. Until next time, stay safe, stay well. Bye.